For us to be able to pull off a general strike involving multiple labor unions would require a movement big enough and strong enough to be able to sustain a full frontal assault from the government trying to shut them down.
Are you on? Which side are you on?
Before Taft-Hartley, workers had the right, and it seems to me that it is that you know, if we were interested in actually, you know, like a textualist understanding of the Constitution of, you know, that workers ought to have the right to strike. And before Taft-Hartley, that right to strike included the right to intermittent strikes, and it included the right to secondary strikes and secondary boycotts. And Taft-Hartley made that illegal because it gave too much power to the workers. Or rather, it's not, no, let me retract that. It allowed workers to exert too much of the power that they hold. Because it's not like when workers do intermittent strikes or when workers do secondary strikes that somebody is coming down from on high and bequeathing them with this power. Rather, it is the workers exercising power that they have.
Right, right.
It's the workers making use of the value of their labor in broader and broader situations. And as far as I'm concerned, that is our constitutional right. When we talk about our right to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of association. I think it is our constitutional right to strike, and that includes intermittent strikes and secondary strikes. Taft-Hartley made that illegal. And the PRO Act, the Protecting the Right to Organize Act, which, to be clear, we've got no illusions will pass, certainly under this Congress and probably under even a Democratic Congress. But if passed, the PRO Act would make them legal again. It would allow workers to use more of the power that they have. It would not employ the force of the state to tamp down on those activities. Secondary strikes and intermittent strikes. And so in this hearing, Senator Cassidy asks a Morgan Lewis attorney and a former NLRB chair under, I think, President Bush, what the impact would be about if workers were again allowed to conduct intermittent strikes and secondary strikes. And and why that would be bad. And I wanted to play this clip because it's fascinating how the conversation is just a naked power analysis. There is no attempt to frame this in, this is demanded by the Constitution, by liberty, or freedom. It is just an analysis that if we allow workers to use this much of their power, that would be bad for us. Let's play that clip.
Of current law precedent establishes that you can't do intermittent stoppages or secondary strikes, but the PRO Act allows that to occur once more. Why were these originally outlawed, if you will?
Well, they were part of the, I think, congressional debate about where the balance of labor power should be between employers and unions. And I think that the balance was that those types of job actions are really destructive to businesses, and that our law in this country has always been that if you're going to strike once. You have to stay out and strike, and not have the intermittent types of strikes.
But it strikes me that doing intermittent and secondary would be a highly effective tool to bring a company to its knees. But if there's going to be collateral benefits from, as being described, clearly that would be collateral damages, right? That could affect a whole ripple effect. Mr. Mix, any comments on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That would open up a whole new avenue of labor protests and strikes, the potential strikes, where you don't target the original target of the operation, you target their customers, and you go to their place and shut them down, and the obligation
The employees of those companies would be adversely affected
Absolutely.
because their businesses could be brought to their knees, even though they have nothing to do with the primary.
Absolutely. That was the intention of outlawing the secondary boycott.
Gotcha.
Pretty clear.
And I would just say, in this economy with this supply chain issues, that could be devastating.
It's devastating to the bosses.
Yeah.
It's devastating to capital. And I think that, I mean, they are at least admitting that.
Yeah.
Give them that much credit for being fairly straightforward about this is about power. And we're not going to allow workers to be able to exercise that kind of power because it would be too effective.
Yeah. It would be bad for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, like, this comes up a lot because folks will say, you know, we need to have a general strike. We need to get all the unions on board. Well, you know, this is exactly the type of obstacle we're talking about as to why that,
Right.
you know, obviously there are a lot of reasons why that would be difficult, but that's, you know, on a most basic fundamental level, it's illegal and, you know, would be quite the lift to be
Right.
willing to go against the law in that capacity. For us to be able to pull off a general strike involving multiple labor unions would definitely require a movement big enough and strong enough and with enough resources to be able to sustain a full frontal assault from the government trying to shut them down, basically.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.